Andrea?
And I think they've got to double down on doing more interviews and serious interviews, because what I'm hearing from Democratic and Republican business people and a lot of men, and she's got such a big problem with men. I think there's an undercount of the Trump vote. I think there is misogynation in all of this, black and white men. Big problem, but also the business world. They don't think she is serious. They don't think she's a heavyweight. And a lot of this is gender, but she's got to be more specific about her economic plan.
All right, let's talk about the panic that's clearly setting in for Kamala Harris and the Democrats when it comes to the male vote. They're scrambling, and it's obvious. Traditionally, male voters, especially young males, have been more independent-minded, less interested in the endless identity politics, and more focused on practical issues like jobs, the economy, and freedom of speech. And right now, the Democrats are struggling to appeal to those concerns. So they call in the one person they think can save them, Barack Obama.
Dana, President Obama, they are calling on him to go to Pittsburgh next week as they lean on his star power to turn out the vote, his star power among Democrats at least. And we have seen this to great effect in several last election cycles where Obama is sort of called in the final hour in order to thwart Democratic complacency. And we expect to hear from him a similar message that we have heard from the Obamas at the DNC. We heard Michelle Obama notably tell Democrats essentially, listen, don't get in your feelings here if you don't hear directly from the campaign between now and Election Day. This election is too urgent to stay home. You have to get out and vote.
We've seen this story before. Democrats are still living in a world and campaigning like it's 2008. Harris and her team are trying to pivot, but it's not coming across as genuine. They're putting out campaigns trying to appear more relatable. But the truth is, they've lost touch with the issues that really matter to voters.
VP Kamala Harris joining a sports and pop culture podcast hosted by two former NBA players as she tries to fix her polling problem with young men. Watch.
I am blessed to have an incredible family and incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still one of my best friends.
That's crazy.
Right? Stacey Johnson.
Yeah, that's dope. I love it.
We used to go to the clubs and her father Seville.
Guilty pleasure, do you have any?
Yes. One of my guilty pleasures, especially when I'm on the road, are my Doritos.
Oh, what flavor?
Nacho.
Nacho.
Old school, original.
OG.
Come on.
Yeah. OG.
Come on.
Red bag.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Red bag.
That's exactly. Got to have a napkin nearby. Right?
Yeah.
Carly, you got to have a napkin nearby.
Got it.
Fox News contributor Joe Concha joins me now. Joe, obviously she is desperately trying to win over young men. How's that going for her, based in part on that interview where she talks about, Doritos and clubbing?
Todd, I watched this interview in full, and the only word that came to mind, and you could even see it with the interviewers, the way they were reacting, the only word that came to mind was cringe. Again, Kamala Harris was asked about her plan, how she's going to help those struggling to make ends meet with the cost of goods, cost of living overall impacting so many Americans, and she did it again, Todd. She talked about growing up in a middle-class family. And after 3 minutes of word salad and a bumper sticker stream of consciousness, she never answered the question. No sane and sober person could have watched this interview and came away with any confidence that she is economically literate. And the more she talks, the more it reminds voters, even Democratic voters, that Kamala Harris may not be the right person for this job. We saw it in 2019 when she ran for president for the 2020 election and didn't get to 2020, rejected by Democratic voters. It's just amazing that after several interviews, not too many, that when she's asked the one question that she knows is coming, as far as how are you going to lower the cost of stuff that, this part isn't said in the question, that your administration helped create, they still haven't programmed her to give the proper answer. And then obviously those other answers around, oh, what's your guilty pleasure? Oh, it's Doritos. What kind of flavor? Nacho. I don't know if that plays well with particularly young voters who have a BS radar that's always on. I don't see how she comes away from this interview feeling that it went well from an authenticity standpoint.
First of all, it's no secret that the Democrats have gone all in on woke policies, focusing heavily on identity politics and social justice agendas. But for a lot of young men, That's just not what they care about. They're more interested in job opportunities, affordable living, and preserving personal freedoms, and the Democrats' constant focus on victimhood narratives is alienating a lot of them. It's becoming clear that while they're busy pushing their global agendas and focusing on international affairs, they're neglecting the real needs of Americans here at home. Take hurricane relief, for example.
My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
He said that FEMA is only offering $750 to Americans who have had their homes destroyed. That's not true. He's also echoing conspiracy theorists online who falsely claim that the administration is redirecting disaster money for undocumented immigrants. That's also not true. Why is he spreading misinformation in a crisis like that? And does that concern you about your fellow North Carolinians and how and whether they could actually get help?
I'm incredibly concerned in North Carolina. I hear every day from people on the ground there, and they are desperate for help. It is a dire situation there. I actually think we don't even know the extent yet of truly how bad it is there. And look, Kamala Harris did come out and say it's $750 per family right now. The idea that we've spent $650 million in fiscal year 24 on the migrant crisis that Kamala Harris was responsible for stopping, and by all accounts, she created by having an open door policy at our southern border,
but
is
Laura,
infuriating.
Laura, let me just stop you right there.
Of this country.
Let me just stop you right there because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the serious needs assistance.
Dana, and said that they are out of money in terms of their hurricane relief. We have another hurricane heading towards Florida right now.
What they have said is that there is money
right now. Why don't they have anything in order? Why is it that right now the citizens in Western North Carolina are screaming for help, and it's having to come from local citizens? People from my hometown of Wilmington are driving across the state 6 hours to go to the mountains and help people.
It is bad.
Where is our federal government? Why are they out of money?
It is bad there, but my question is about the misinformation, particularly the notion that they are moving money to migrants, you say undocumented migrants, which FEMA says flatly is not true. And if people are not getting correct information, then they can't go for assistance as they have been asked for. I just want to quickly play with Senator Tom Tillis.
Let me just say for 1 second.
Go ahead.
You have migrants being housed in luxury hotels in New York City. We have paid so much money from our tax dollars into the crisis that didn't need to happen. We could redirect money to help people immediately on the ground in North Carolina or in Florida, where we're probably going to have a situation coming up in the next several days.
That's a separate tranche of money.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about hurricanes or natural disasters. It's about the bigger issue of the government's responsibility to its people. And right now, the Democrats seem more interested in playing the role of global leader than being the leaders America needs when it comes to domestic affairs.